Morning, friends.
Morning.
As always, it's my distinct honor and privilege to share the pulpit with our senior pastor here. I love the opportunity to pass on what the Lord has graciously given to me. Today we'll be talking about the established heart. We're going to take our lesson from 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verses 3 through 5. So here's our key verses. But the Lord is faithful. He will establish you and guard you against the evil one. And we have confidence in the Lord about you, that you are doing and will do the things that we command. May the Lord direct your hearts to the love of God and to the steadfastness of Christ. Notice one of the first things that stands out here is it says, He will establish you. It doesn't say, make sure you establish yourself, or get someone to help you with getting established, or make sure you work hard at being, etc. It says, He will establish you. So we're talking about a work of God here. The key to this, with any work of God, is our cooperation. How many times we think about how our lives are difficult, we can't seem to make any progress and everything, and the Lord's trying to help us out, and we keep pushing Him away. If we fight it off, it's going to make it that much harder. So when we look at the word, well, what is the Lord going to do for us when He establishes us? Greek word here is sterizo. It means to fix firmly, strengthen, support, and direct yourself towards something. Isn't that what we all want? We don't want to be all over the place. We want to be locked into the right path. We want to be strengthened. We want to be encouraged. We want to be supported. We want to make sure we're headed in the right direction. And this is what the Lord wants to do to us, do for us. It's not always easy for us to cooperate, and that's where the problem comes in. So when we talk about having an established heart, what are we really talking about? An established heart is one that's not easily shaken. Certainly there are enough things out there, and there are enough opinions out there, and there are enough people out there who would love to kind of take us in another direction. But if your heart is established and you stand firm in Jesus Christ, you're not easily knocked around by that kind of thing. Why? Because you're secure in God's promises. You know that when the Lord says something, it's true. You know that when He says He's going to do something, it's as good as done. You know that anything that comes from God is the right thing. You don't have to understand every detail of it right away. It might not make the least bit of sense to you at one point, but that's the whole idea of trust. That's the whole idea of an established heart, is that you don't have to worry about some of these little details because the Lord is the one who's establishing you. You know He can't possibly get it wrong. If anything goes wrong, it's us, not Him. So as a result of this process, He's doing a work in us and we're cooperating. We grow stronger and stronger in faith with every passing day. So where do we end up? We end up free from spiritual insecurity and prepared to be used by God. The Lord's always there. It's like, I'm kind of old school. I don't have cable, I have an antenna. And there's always a signal coming at that antenna. And just like if you have cable, there's always a signal coming through, but if your TV is not on, you won't see it. But it's always being broadcast. Just because you're not watching doesn't mean it's not there. Just because you're not listening to God doesn't mean He's not speaking. So, well, I don't know, I don't hear from God, I don't know what He wants. Well, are you really paying attention? I'm telling you, one of the things I've learned is half the Christian life is paying attention. Being aware, being available, being cooperative, and then God will amaze you with what He'll do in your life. You see here in this picture, she's packed up and ready to go. She sees the road ahead and she's like, yeah, let's do it. This should be our attitude toward the Lord. I don't care where you want me to go, let's just go. I'm ready to go. I've got my stuff, I'm ready, let's go. We should see God every day like that. Where do you want me to be? What do you want me to do? I'm there. Now, another thing we run into is time. This is a process, and it can be a long process. We're not good at that, are we? as time goes on, as we get more and more, as we get busier, as we get more technologically advanced, as we get used to instant this and instant that and hurry up, and we're not good at something that's a process. We just want to do it. Right? You can get instant coffee. You can get instant money. You go up to the ATM, bam, if there's any money in your account, you can get instant information. This is the one that kind of really got my attention because I've been around long enough to remember when we didn't have a lot of this high-tech stuff available. If you wanted to know somebody and no one in your house had the answer, well, you'd like go to the library or something maybe the next day and look it up and have get somebody to help you find it. Or if you're like, there used to be, anybody remember, there used to be like a service. I don't even remember what it was called, but you'd call a phone number and this guy would be sitting in a room with a virtual, like you'd have a library around him, all kinds of books and stuff. You'd call and ask him a question, he'd look it up. I don't remember what that was called, but it was some kind of a service they used to have. So things are so different now. Everything you want to know, it's just like, damn, I find myself frequently asking, how did I manage before without being able to get the instant answer to the question? So why can't I get an instant answer to how I can get my art established? Why can't we just do this? Because God doesn't work that way. God wants to teach you things along the way. It's a process that we have to go through that takes time. It's for our benefit that it takes time. Right? There's so many things that God wants to do with us, and our rushing sometimes, being in a hurry and being distracted is a good part of the problem. I was reading something from a quote from Billy Graham, and we talk about how this whole process of getting an established heart gets started. And he was talking about a decision he had to make one time. There was so much coming at him from so many directions about the truth of the Bible and how people try to kind of water that down or compromise it. Everyone's always looking for a little wiggle room because they don't necessarily like what the Bible sense of what's right and what's wrong. And he said, I had to take a step of faith. When I did, my life and ministry was changed. There came an authority and a power, an assurance and a security. Because he decided one day in faith to say, if God says it, it's right. If God says it, it's true. If God says it, I can trust in it, I can rely on it, and I can take that to the bank. And when he did that, he made himself available to be used by God.
Amen.
Did you know that he just had his 99th birthday this past week? Imagine looking back now, you're Billy Graham, you're 99 years old, and you look back at what you've done, what your family has done, what God has done through all of you, really. And just because he made himself available, because he was cooperative, because he was paying attention, because he listened, and he let his heart be established by God. Look where it took him. Look at what the benefit that the world has gotten today from that. His own ministry, all the spread of the gospel around the world, the tremendous work that his son Franklin's organization does, Samaritan's Purse, with needy people around the world, and spreading the gospel and providing for the needs, especially during disaster recovery and things like that. All of this can happen when you let God establish your heart. Now, will your life necessarily be big and splashy like this and covered by the media and everything else? No. The majority of folks in the world might never even know who you are, except your immediate circle. So what? That's okay. It doesn't make it any less important. It doesn't make it any less great, any less important in God's plan for your life to do exactly what he wants you to do, and not worry about comparing yourself to anybody else. Another thing about someone like this having an established heart, think about what it must be to be 99. What's one of the foremost things in your mind? Time is short. He doesn't expect to be here much longer. He's 99. He's already outlived the average person. He knows if he sees his 100th birthday, that'll be amazing. He might not. He might be one of these people who lives to be 110, who knows? Or he might be gone tomorrow. But any of us could be gone tomorrow too. But the point here is, with an established heart, you're not afraid of that. Now, no one wants to suffer, no one wants to die painfully. I understand that. I'm with you on that. But If you're afraid of death, that's a problem. We always say we're looking forward to seeing the Lord Jesus. How are we going to do that? Well, barring the rapture, it means we're going to die. And then we'll be with Him right away. So that's not something to be afraid of. From a human point of view, sure, everybody has that strong survival instinct. That makes perfect sense. But we shouldn't fear death itself. That's the difference. That's one of the things an established heart will give you. Let's look at some examples through the Bible of people with established hearts. Imagine what it must have been like to be Noah. Here you are out there constructing this gigantic boat when it's not going to make any sense to anybody but you and your immediate family. Imagine if somebody asked you, well, what are you doing? Well, the Lord's going to wipe out everybody and, we'll be in this boat and we'll be safe and we're taking a bunch of animals. Well, it's going to kind of start over. Okay. Well, nice talking to you, Noah. Gotta move on, Why did he keep going? Because of his established heart, because he knew what God said was true. He knew he could trust in that. It didn't matter what anybody thought. It didn't matter what anybody else's opinion. It didn't matter if you put 1,000 people next to him and 999 of them think he's crazy and maybe one of them agrees with them and they go, well, you're as bad as he is. And, it didn't bother him. He kept on because it's what God wanted. What about this? It seems like it would be impossible if you'd have children. Yet Abraham and Sarah have one. The work of God. And they waited a long time for it. This is a big deal. They haven't even had him that long. The best scholars will tell you that he was probably a teenager around the time this happens. And then God says, all right, that's long enough, I want him back. You want what? Yeah, I want you to kill him. Without an established heart, how are you feeling about doing that? Hard enough with an established heart. But he was willing to do it because he knows that God knows better. Because the always constant Lord, always right, always perfect, always with our best interest in heart, and heart knows what he's doing. So he's like, all right, I'll do it. How about this one? A kid who spends most of his time out in the fields with the sheep, here at a battlefield, facing a huge, experienced, big old mean, nasty professional soldier with all his equipment and stuff. All the other professional soldiers around him from his own nation are all kind of taking a step back because they don't want any of that. Picks up a stone, pops it in his sling, starts getting it going. He says, you know what? The Lord's going to give you into my hand today. You're going down with complete confidence. Why? Because he had an established heart. Because he knew that this was going to be a work of God. And down Goliath went. How about this one? Someone we all know who went through a lot of difficulty in his life, imprisonment, beatings, stonings, shipwrecks, you name it, it happened to the Apostle Paul. Again and again and again. And every time one of these things would happen, he'd take a pounding or crawl out of the water or finally get released from jail. What would he do? He'd be out there preaching the word again. Why? Because he had an established heart. He kept going no matter how many times, every synagogue he'd go to, they'd kick him out. He'd go, all right, fine, move on, somebody else. Because he had an established heart. He wasn't going to give up. He knew he was on the right path. He knew the Lord was doing something with him. He wasn't worried about the consequences. He just kept doing what he knew God wanted him to do because he had an established heart. So what about an established heart? Well, one thing, it's a faithful, protected heart. Notice, going back to our key verses, it says he'll guard you against the evil one. Something else the Lord will do when he establishes your heart. There's a protection. I found it interesting because some translations say against evil and some say the evil one. So online I found this big discussion of all this textual criticism about, is it referring to Satan specifically? Is it referring to evil people? Is it a general concept referring to evil in the world? Is it about particular evil actions? And I read all this and I said, it's kind of interesting to see the process of how you decide whether or not something's really worth pursuing, or if you get to the end of this and you go, who cares? And I found myself saying, who cares? This all comes from the same place. Sure, all this evil is coming from Satan. Where's it being channeled from there? Well, it's going to all these evil people, and you've seen all these evil situations in the world, and it's just one thing after another. It's bad teaching, it's bad influences, but it's, in the long run, it's all the same. So no matter how you express this, the point is the protection of the Lord. One of those things, He will help keep you from getting knocked down, like here in Ephesians, that whole armor of God passage we're familiar with. In all circumstances, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming darts of the evil one. So see, again, this all begins with faith, and this is what maintains it. So all these things coming at you, this is the protection the Lord's talking about. Your faith and your confidence and your trust in God is your shield against all of this coming at you. An established heart is a humble, obedient heart. It says here that we have confidence in the Lord about you, that you are doing and will do the things that we command. See, Paul, when he wrote to the Thessalonians, he was concerned here about them. He wanted to make sure they stayed on the right track. There were certainly enough opportunities to get knocked off of it. But he had a confidence and he had a faith. But again, what the Bible doesn't say is very often as important as what it does say. Does it say here, I know you guys can do it, I have faith in you, I trust you, I have confidence in you guys. It's not in there anywhere, is it? It says we have confidence in the Lord about you, because we know, left to your own devices, you're going to make a mess, just like all of us. But an established heart is what gets you and keeps you on the right path. So he was confident in the Lord's promise for these believers that they were on the right path and they would stay on it, carried along by their established hearts. In 1 Corinthians, Paul says, be imitators of me as I am of Christ. Was he saying, be like me because I'm awesome? No. He said, be like me, I'm just like everybody else. But my cue is taken from the Lord. I follow him. That's where my instructions come from. That's what I'm following, so as long as I'm still doing that, you'll do fine by doing what I do. And what was it that Paul did? What were his guidelines? You say, okay, be like you, what do you do? Well, here's what Paul did. If you read our recent platform service, you've heard this already. He has told you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you but to do justice, to love kindness, and walk humbly with your God, to live right, to live for others, to walk in obedient humility. This is what Paul did. He had an established heart. He lived this way. He said, follow what God says, let him establish your heart, and you'll be doing what I'm doing, and you'll be okay. You'll stay on the right path. It's my job to keep an eye on you, so that's what I'm doing, because I serve God through serving you. An established heart is a consistent, directed heart. Some of you might think of this as a GPS. I'm a little more old school, so I use a compass. You have direction. You're not wavering, you're not inconsistent, you're not all over the place by every new idea that comes along, or every question that comes along. As it says here, when we get to the end of our key verse, it says, may the Lord direct your hearts to the love of God and to the steadfastness of Christ. What could be better to be directed to than the love of God? The God who is eternal and unchanging and always after our best interest. The steadfastness of Christ. Isn't that what we rely on? The sameness of Jesus? Isn't what we're so thankful for? The fact that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. Oh my God, can you imagine if he wasn't? What would we have to hold on to? Think of the idea of the old Greek and Roman gods in mythology, right? Their idea of God was like, kind of like us, but sort of like Superman. You know, they were up in the sky and they had all these, they could throw lightning bolts around and do all kinds of crazy things. But they were like us. They would change their mind on a whim. They would be trying to impress each other. One of them would be talking to the other and say, oh, you think you're the mighty? Well, watch this. I'm going to wipe out these 5,000 people that are minding their own business over here, and we'll see what you think of me then. Imagine if Jesus was like that. Imagine if he was like us. We try to be like him. It's a good thing he's not trying to be like us. He's steadfast, he's true, He never changes, and that's why He can establish our heart, and that's why we can rely on that, always. You think about today's world, and how so many things have gone on. People who would love to see us all dead, and they haven't even met us. A ever-increasing tendency for people to go out and start shooting people at random for no good reason. The rampant substance abuse, it's amazing we can get anything done in this country anymore. It seems so many people are affected by this. The cheapness of life now. People will just get out and yell and scream to defend the right to get an abortion, and it's government sanctioned. I mean, it's the law. And I saw a video clip of President Obama one time while he was still in office, and he said, if one of my daughters made a mistake, I wouldn't want them to be saddled with a baby. Well, excuse me. Life is not just for convenience. Did you ever think you'd see one of these rainbow flags flying in front of a church? See it all the time. I saw one the other day. So all of these changes that are around us all the time, all of these things that are trying to influence us, there's always a push in today's times for, people don't like the classic idea of the unchanging Jesus, who demands something from us, who has standards for us. They want to redefine him for today's high-tech world. They'll say, look at the way we get information. Everything you want to know. Little kids, they've got their computers now. They've got access to all this stuff on the internet, the latest, most advanced thinking and ideas and technology. And you want us to go by what it says in some moldy old book from 2,000 years ago. That doesn't apply today. You've got to be kidding me. We've got to get with the times. We can't do this whole Bible thing anymore. When do we want to get around? There's nothing to it, man. You just pick up your smartphone, call your Uber, and somebody comes and picks you up, and away you go. You want us to relate to something that's from a time when people rode on donkeys. Come on, we need an update. We need a new Jesus. Well, I'm here to tell you we don't need a new Jesus. We need exactly the same Jesus, as a matter of fact. Amen. Jesus is always truthful, always faithful, always trustworthy. That's the point. Why would we want to change that? Look what it says in Colossians 2. Therefore, as you receive Christ Jesus the Lord, and by the way, again, that's our problem. We don't want to receive. Sure, we're receiving that salvation, and then we're not so good at receiving what he has to say after that, are we? So walk in him, rooted and built up in him, and established, there's that word again, established in the faith. It's not just kind of a casual thing, it's everything to you. It's what you build your life on. Just as you were taught, abounding in thanksgiving. Be grateful for the fact that Jesus is the same. I'm very glad that Jesus is the same, and that his promises, his commands, his message, and his love for us are always the same. We need the same Jesus. We don't need a new Jesus. We need the same Jesus who healed the sick, raised the dead, cleared the temple, fed the thousands, forgave sinners, died, and rose again. The Jesus we need is the Good Shepherd, the bread of life, the true vine, the door, the way, the truth, and the life. I'll tell you who we need. We need the King of Glory. You want to know what the problem is with the world today? They don't know the King of Glory. You want to make the world a better place? Introduce somebody to the King of Glory. This is what it's all about. Jesus Christ, the unchanging Son of God, the King of Glory. Establish your heart with the King of Glory. Hallelujah.